for sure. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and get this positivity talk kicked off today for your positivity talk. So for those of you who may not know, positivity talks, what we do on Tuesdays is I try and talk about, well, I don't try, I do. I talk about a different subject that has to do with positivity so that basically my goal is to bring positivity not only just to Twitch, but to the gaming community in general, but also to each one of your lives. I feel like this world has enough of negativity and just negative things that are constantly being berated onto us. And my goal is that if I make even one person's day better, or have like a life change with somebody, or if you're watching this via Twitch or YouTube or wherever in the internet, you can pass this along to maybe someone who might need it, or maybe because they're very surface level. They're not gonna go. They're gonna go a little deep, but not something to where it's like, like a psychology session or anything like that. I'm not qualified to do that. I am not a psychiatrist. I'm not I'm not some Harvard professor. But I do this for my job. I also, and believe it or not, I actually have won awards for it. I've studied it in college. I've studied it for decades, actually. And honestly, this is how I live my life day in and day out. So if there's someone who, they say that you become an expert at something if you put in 10,000 hours, and trust me, I've done that several times for now. So that's why I really love my life, and couldn't be more appreciative of it. And that's why the positivity just kind of flows off me. So today we're going to be talking about being inclusive. So basically having that inclusive mindset, right? So am I doing an all-night stream? Oh, dude, that'd be awesome, Camo. Sorry. Didn't guess you're so looked down off him. Thanks, Tuck. Nice. Because of my warranty. Sweet, dog. So being inclusive, sorry, I wanted to catch up on chat. And also whenever you guys are in chat and I'm kind of going through a speech, don't worry, I'll get to your comments, but I also want everybody to participate in these type of talks, because the only way that we're ever going to be able to move the needle is if we do things as a community, because small groups have been the way that the world has changed. That's how we make a change, is by people all living out values that they want to see and changes that they want to see in the world. And so, some people may say that a small community may not change anything, but honestly, in everything in history, it's always the smallest group that does the most. So, so with being inclusive, what is even being inclusive? What does being inclusive mean? You'll sometimes hear this with like diversity and inclusion. You'll sometimes hear this with, hey, you should be more inclusive minded. Basically, like the way that it's defined is like containing or being a part of a whole, or not excluding any piece of the whole, or containing all. Like that's what being inclusive means. That's like the definition of it, right? So whenever you break it down, it's like you're basically taking something. The way that I kind of think of it is, there's this big puzzle, right? In life, there's this gigantic puzzle, and throughout life, you're gonna have puzzle pieces thrown at you the entire time. It's your privilege to be able to figure out how these puzzle pieces fit together, and appreciate how that puzzle piece looks, how that puzzle piece fits, and what's on that puzzle piece, because it makes up this grand, beautiful picture that is our lives. And so inclusive mindsets will go a long way. Shut the front door! Did we get a sub right off the bat? Fish! Dude, with that $4.99 sub, thank you so much for that sub. You, my friend, are the true pan. And because you're the pan, I'm just a Rufio, but you're the pan, because with that sub, you are helping out Extra Life, and you're helping out kids in need, because 100% of the proceeds goes to kids in need. And this month in September, it's only half price. So, why not, right? That's stinking awesome. Welcome to the community. Welcome to Lost Boys and Girls. Join the Discord. Get your own sub roll, and I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for that. I'm really appreciative of that. And you're also going to enjoy increased chances in giveaways, and we do those on Fridays and stuff like that too. So I'm just very happy that you're part of the community. So inclusive mindsets will go a long way. Think about any time you've ever went into a group, whenever you went up and met another person, Whether that's, I mean, even here, whenever you've gone into a different Twitch channel, or you've had someone come into our channel, or maybe you've joined a team. All of these are different examples of how an inclusive mindset can go a long way and how you can completely maximize it. And so think about how that felt for you. Like whenever you first joined a group, were you kind of apprehensive? Were you were you excited about it? Were you thinking twice about it? Did you not know what was going on? Emery and Blackburn, what's going on? How are you? And so think about, I do have a YouTube channel. If you, like a little alert will come up on there here in a little bit, Emery, and I'll get to you here in a second for it. So, or you can just look me up on Rufio, RUFI, same thing as this channel. But so, whenever you look on there, and whenever you're thinking about this, like, let's just say you're going into this group, right? Like, you're super excited to go here. That first meeting that you get to have with somebody, and that first interaction that you get to have with another human being, joining new groups is scary. See, and even then, right? Or it can be, you can either be super excited or you can be scary. That first person, right? Or that first couple people that are on there, they can make or break how you feel about this group, right? And so having that inclusive mindset, if you're that person who that person comes up to, oh, and bye, Amron, you are going to be able to be that individual, that puzzle piece that's going to start being able to help the other one fit in. And that's great, because you're not all of a sudden excluding someone, and you're being positive about it. You're making a positive impact in their life, and you're allowing them the grace and the opportunity to be able to shine and be the people who they want to be, and the people who they are, to an entire group of people, right? Like you're being able to basically hold them up and shine their light to everybody that's around. And so, like, whenever you have that, inclusive mindsets will always reach out to others in any situation, right? Why this is important? In a world that is changing, okay, this world is changing faster and more drastic than ever. It's crucial to have an inclusive mindset while holding on to our principles, because whenever this world is quickly changing, and we're trying to be able to learn how it's going and try and be understanding of everybody and appreciative of everybody, we all innately have implicit biases, right? We all have these things that we don't know we harbor inside ourselves that are just innately bad. And it's not that that's necessarily our hearts. It's things that we've been taught. It's things that have been omitted in our lives, and things that just we haven't experienced yet. And that's fine. Because everybody has them, and it's a way that implicit biases. That's what it's called. So it's a known fact that one of the best ways to not only expose that in ourselves, this implicit biases, but to learn how to combat that, is to be inclusive and allow ourselves to be vulnerable and learn. It is tough. And I'm not joking with you. Whenever I say tough, it's tough to be vulnerable with another human being or a group of people, but I can tell you, you are going to further yourself, your EQ. You're going to further your capacity to love. You're going to further your network of people who you can rely on, your friendships, your everything. If you're going to be able to be inclusive, you're going to be able to look inside yourself and realize, wow, I have this inside of me and it's not good. Now I can get rid of it. And you're making even yourself whole, even more whole again. You're helping out them and you're helping out yourself. It's a win-win situation to be able to do this. Like, think about this. I've lost it since first word, right? So think about this. So think about this mindset shift, right? A lot of the times, whenever you look at somebody, whenever they're first joining a group, a lot of people automatically just assume that this new person is just going to assimilate into the group, right? Think about this mindset shift. It's not the job of the newbie to assimilate to the group. It's the job of the group to appreciate all the wonderful things the newbie brings to the group. Okay? Everyone is special, and to not acknowledge that is honestly an insult. It's pretty poopy. Like, how would you feel if someone comes up and says, hey, by the way, like, you just need to be like us? Like, I would hope that nobody would do that, because I want to know something that's new and different with every single person. I love the fact that, like, Caitlin, I don't mean to call you out, but I kind of am. I honestly have no idea what the Duck Latin is, And while I don't know what 5 means, I appreciate you for it, because there are times where I'm just like, so random, right? But I love it. Like, I love it. I do. I can appreciate that. Or Moon talking about some different things that you're doing. 5 means 5, right, KB? Some of the witty things that you do, Newfie, your energy and your hilarity and your kindness that you show to others. Camo, like for you and for your caring, and like all these, and like, yeah, and chimichangas especially. Good call. And like, Jay's not here, but like whenever I got to work with Jay, I love the fact that her and I didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, but because of that, the things that we were trying to do just got elevated. And if we didn't have an inclusive mindset to be able to say, okay, we need to include this person, do this, include this person, do this. And if we're not going out there and acknowledging that each of us is special, right? That each one of us is special, we are not being positive to them. We're being really, really poopy to them. And we're basically not furthering ourselves in any way, shape, or form, right? Whenever you be inclusive, I drew a little chart so to be able to help out kind of explain this. So guys, bear with me. I did this really, really fast. I literally did this while the going live soon stream happened while I was trying to get everything ready. But it's a little graph, okay? So a lot of you have heard me talk about the 2 things that you need to have whenever you love somebody. That's a perfect combination is going to be grace and truth, right? You need both of those to be able to love perfectly. So see now the fattest loser. Nope. You can go ahead and get that boot, Caitlin. Get him. Because that's not really positivity right there. That ain't it. So. With honor and honesty in there, right? There are 4 different things. Like, there has been a couple different things that are in here, right? Okay, so I kind of made like a little graph, right? So honor right here, going up and down, and honesty going this way, right? I didn't make this up, by the way. I completely stole this. I'm not going to take credit for this. But, so right here, if you're high on honor, right here, going high, and then this is high on honesty, right? If you're going over here, you're getting higher on honesty. So the very away from both of them, right, is absent. Right here, I'm being absent. If you have low honor and low honesty, these are the people who are just basically like completely avoiding situations. These are the people who, like, that are just kind of seeing something and are just like, I don't want to be part of it. I don't want anything for it. And so they're not showing honor to somebody. And they're not really being honest with them either, right? They're just like, they're there. They're just not there. Like, what, whatever. So I just don't want to do it. So the other part of this, right? Let's talk about these 2 right here, like the coordinates, like right here and then right down here. Okay. Right here and right here. So right here, this is appeasing. So this is high. So this right here is going high in honor, but low in honesty, right? So you're basically just appeasing somebody. So whenever you do that and have this inclusive mindset, you're basically looking at somebody and just saying, hey, by the way, like, I just want you to be part of the group, so come on in here, right? But like, you're not just going to appease someone to appease somebody. You need to have that honor that's in there whenever you're having an inclusive mindset, because you don't want to, like, I'm not saying here that you should be inclusive or like build empathy with a drug dealer and go do drugs, right? Like, you still need to have like that honor for the group as well as for the individual person. And that's why you got to have that balance that's in there. But look on the opposite side of this, right? This is where someone with a lot of honesty and not a lot of honor is in there, right? But so whenever you look at that, like the antagonist, what that means is whenever you have high honesty and low honor, these are the people who you've run into that maybe are a little bit too honest. Like sometimes their strength can become a weakness, and they're basically telling everybody just like, hey, here's this, and there's no really respect or honor for that person or for the group. And so you want to be forthright with someone, like you don't want to sit there and be like, hey, by the way, like our group has this, so I don't know what you would bring to it, right? While that may be true, you don't know what this person's going to bring to it, but that is really, really high honesty and not giving that person the honor of showing who they are, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully that's clear as mud. And then but the kind of the sweet spot right here, insert like, Final Fantasy win music, insert, like Link whenever he finally beats someone, that type of thing. So high honor and high honesty, you're going to have trust within the group. Honesty balanced with tact. Yeah, exactly. So you need to be tactful about it, and that's where that honor comes from, right? Like, because you can still, with that, you want to be able to have like a trusting relationship, and you want to be able to bring people in and show them that trust, because believe it or not, you want to know the easiest way to build trust with somebody? Dead serious. This is documented. This has been researched to death. The number one way that you can build trustworthiness with someone else, whether you can build trust, it's by extending it. Giving someone trust will give you more, they will give you more trust. Okay, so if you're giving someone more honor and honesty, you are giving them, they're going to be giving you higher trust just by doing that. So be thinking about that whenever you have that in your different relationships and how you're going to be able to build it. Now, again, you need to be smart about it. I'm not saying like, hey, by the way, you should go and trust your kid to like go and do this thing by themselves when they're clearly not capable. But like, you need to be smart about it in the entire thing. But whenever you're looking at, the frame of reference for as far as for like this conversation, it's looking at adults that that you can, that you can have honesty and you can have honor with, that you can go ahead and build that trust with, right? So some things that I would caution people about that maybe a lot of times you're going to run into is whenever you're being inclusive, one thing that is very easy to do is to be comfortable, is to become comfortable, right? You're going to have an exposure to a lot of different people, a lot of varying people. And so whenever you're inclusive with so many people, it's very easy to keep having these conversations with different people, and then your relationships only go so far, right? You're basically maxed out at only having subsurface level relationships with others. And so now if that's something that you want to just have for a select few, that's fine. But I'm saying this just to be aware of it, right? To be mindful of it whenever you're going through there, because it is important to be able to have those deep relationships. But whenever you're inclusive and you're constantly trying to be inclusive and constantly trying to include everyone as much as you possibly can, then that's something that can be a pitfall. And so another one is once you become comfortable in this group, like you've been inclusive, and all of a sudden now you're like, man, these are all the most awesome people that I've ever been with. All of a sudden, it's very easy to be complacent because you're extremely happy in the place that you've created. But whenever you do that, realize that there's a possibility there's a high possibility that you can all of a sudden just stop. You're like, hey, this is where I want to be. I'm comfortable. I don't want anybody else in my life. This is where I'm going to be at. And then and it's very easy to stop that inclusive mindset. So those are just some pitfalls of that. Again, I like to leave people at the very end of it with having just some different action items and what you can do to be able to further your inclusive mindset. So one is honestly, be honest with yourself and realize that we can all get better at this. That word that I was using again, that implicit biases. So what that means is we all basically think of certain things by default, right? Like take for instance, I'm using this specifically because I had this example during a seminar that I was at. Thanks, Leo. So I was actually at this seminar, right? To where one of the things that they gave us is how can you be, you are put into a situation and you are trying to explain a situation to a certain group of people, right? To a certain group of people, and you're trying to be able to be inclusive of them and bring them into the discussion. And so one of the cards that they gave is that this person has English as a second language, right? English is their second language. How would you react to that situation? Right? And to no fault of this individual's own, they automatically went with, well, I will just need to explain things another time. I'll just be very, very careful with the words that I use and speak slowly. Right? that piece of paper only said that that the person you're trying to talk to has English as a second language. That does not mean in any way, shape, or form that this person cannot speak or is just as educated or more educated than you. And you do not need to speak slow. You do not need to do things a second time. And you do not possibly need to have a translator there. He added that one as well. But so just be thinking about that, right? Like, that's an implicit bias. Like, whenever we sit there and we think, oh, well, English is their second language and they probably don't speak English very well. Like, there's absolutely no reason for that. There's no reason for that. And a lot of people sometimes think that. And that's it's just something to be aware of, right? Like, it's not, as soon as that was addressed, the individual got up and was like, oh, wow, yeah, that's a great point. So whenever you're doing this to be inclusive, be honest with yourself first and realize that we can all get better at this. That's a huge first step, is being able to admit, basically, I know this sounds kind of odd because it's like a 12-step program, right? Like, the first step is admitting that you have a problem. But honestly, like, that's the first big step. And if I were to leave you guys with anything, it's that, okay? To be honest with yourself that people can be more inclusive. It's the truth. All of us can. After you do that, some simple things that you can do, right? Very, very surface level stuff. Whenever you do that, smile at people. Say hello. Have a friendly welcome. You'd be surprised how just a simple greeting will disarm somebody. Even if it's just something that's just like a simple hey, or what, or, hey, how's it going? How's your day? A lot of the time, someone might look at you and just go, thanks. I'm having a great day, or man, I'm having just a rough day, or whatever it is. Just by doing that, or even like if you guys are in a different chat and someone comes in and is like, hey, I'm here, or hey, whatever. Like, just be like, hey, welcome. Like, happy to have you. How's it going? Like, by saying those things, that makes people feel welcome, and it's disarming, and it's being inclusive to be like, hey, come on in. We want to learn about you. We want to know who you are, what you're about, what kind of awesome things that you can bring to the table. So that's just like, those two things are really simple things, but believe it or not, they're actually big steps that not a lot of people do. It's odd that even just those two simple things. Think about this. How many people do you pass on a day-to-day basis, or you talk to, or not even that you talk to, but that you just interact with, that you don't do that? That you don't think about, how can I be more welcoming? How can I be more inclusive to this person and invite them more into my life? I'll be honest, I'm very guilty of this. Very guilty of it. I have a tendency to go up and talk to a lot of people, but whenever I do that, I get set into routines very easily. And so I know that I need to work on getting out of my comfort zone, right? That's something that I need to do. And I challenge you guys to think about that as well. One of these things, another idea is to make time to grapple with these ideas, to interrogate your views, challenge your thinking, expose and investigate assumptions, right? Try to see things from a number of different perspectives. Be relentlessly curious. How might these issues look if you were a totally different person, like whenever you're talking about it with somebody, right? What might it be like if you were expecting barriers to what you're participating in? Start thinking of these different ways and how you can break those down. And I'm not saying, like, Camo, you bring up a good point. Like, I'm not saying that you need to be like a social person, right? Like, introverts in and of themselves, I can see where this would be terrifying. However, if you're trying to be inclusive, simple things like even just like a wave, like things like that for some of you introverts out there, or even just doing something for someone else, you don't even need to like you can do a simple act or a gesture as well, right? Like those things can still help. And that's still being inclusive because you're looking for a way to be able to add them on there. Or the guy head nod. There you go, KB. Just kind of do back and do little, do one of those. Like that would work. Like, again, thank you for bringing those points up, because those are ways that you can do that, right? That you can see things from. So like those are some simple things that you guys can do to be a little bit more inclusive, and honestly, just try and make this world a little bit more of an inclusive place, so that not only do you feel more welcome, but others feel more welcome around you. So that right there, people, it's your positivity talk. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It was was a little bit different. It was a little bit of